Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Telialigaen week number 6 for the major broadcast. My name is Bass from the past, and joined alongside me is the one, the only Hyferia and Hype. We are back once again with this phenomenal team to try and continue with our undefeated streak as we go on to play the Razzle Dazzlers, a team which I'm excited to play, less excited to pronounce. We've been talking about dreading about pronouncing this team pretty much the whole season.
I might already resort to RD or something of the sort, and at least something, because Razzle Dazzlers is going to be a tough one. But this matchup is also going to be a tough one. Looking at it on paper, it should be relatively simple, but we don't have Magma today. Instead, Barist is playing. Now, Barist, he was a professional player. I've got faith in him, but Magma, he is pretty good. Razzle Dazzlers, they're on the come up.
That's the big thing here is that it's just continuing to go on the come up here, to continuing to get stronger and stronger and stronger as time goes on. And that is what makes this all the more difficult, because like you said, we're not playing with our full squad, unfortunately, here today. We do have a very strong one. I think we do need to give credit to Barist where it is due, a very capable player. But the unfortunate truth is that without Magma, we are a little bit under the budget of what we normally have here. But I have got faith. The Razzle Dazzlers, a very strong team in themselves. But, like we said, this is going to be an interesting one because at the moment, Major, one of the only two teams left with an undefeated record. Actually, 3, excuse me. I forgot that Nordavind is also technically undefeated at the moment. But the Razzle Dazzlers have taken a couple of losses here. They've taken 2 so far. They're pretty firmly in 4th place at the moment, but one good win for them could all of a sudden really shake up this top 4, and we don't really want to be the recipients of that.
Oh my word, you just turned into a robot. But yes, the Razzle Dazzlers, they are scary. They are 3-2, and with one win, they can just solidify them a top 3 spot. It can go very quickly, so you have to be wary at all times. Now, getting into this, Focus, Andy, and Reganam, they've been putting down some pretty solid results, I'd say. They lost against Nordavind, not a problem. But they won against Rotarian. They also lost against Mustaflook, but they swept Domino as well. He's, not necessarily the best team in the league, but still, sweeping opponents is something that you have to do in Razzle Dazzlers. They are up to par in that regard.
Yeah, they really are a very strong team, and I think that's why we have to emphasize even further how difficult of a task this is going to be here today, because, again, we are also another very capable team, but we're just not quite playing with our full roster, and as much as we do want to give full credit to Barist on being one of the best players available here, it's still not technically our main, so it makes it a little bit of a different roster here. That being said, I still do think that we're going to end up taking the win here today. Razzle Dazzlers have been a very strong team, but the truth of the matter is the wins they have taken so far have been against capable teams, but not necessarily teams that, we should be losing to. So it's one of these things where, yes, they come into this one with a whole lot of momentum, but it's the back half of the season, Hyferia. Momentum could mean nothing. With a 4-week break or 3-week break, however long it has been, there isn't necessarily a lot from the first half of the season that's going to be able to carry you here.
Exactly, and it's still so incredibly important for that top 2 spot that Major do want to secure. It's Nordavind still in the running, and AW3, of course, also still in the running. 2 phenomenal teams, and you can't really drop any games, because the reason we are number 1 in the league currently is because we lost 1 less game than AW3. It's simple as that, and it will probably stay like that if you manage to tie against AW3, something that is expected. So you need to get every single game on the board that you can. AW3, they dropped 1 last week, or 2 even, against Fact Revolution. We can't be doing any of that here today. Even with a sub, we need all those points. We need all those wins to secure a top 1 spot.
Yeah, we need to be able to try and just take wins from here on out. It's a capable thing. It's a very viable scenario, but the unfortunate truth is that we slip up for even a moment, all of a sudden that goes out the window here. So we've got to be careful. There's a lot of teams hot on our heels who want this win, who want this upset, who want to try and take this one. And I would say that the Razzle Dazzlers are kind of one of those teams, to be honest. At this point, if they do manage a win here today, they're very much considering themselves top 4 of this league, really in contention to to try and make a playoff run here. So we want to give them as little momentum as possible. Again, on paper, we should be taking this, but this is going to be an interesting one here today. A lot up in the air. There's no two ways about it. We're going to have to see, what happens, to put it simply.
Oh my word, there's a lot happening on your end. Or maybe it's my end. It might be my internet is just dropping a bit here. It makes for an interesting one. Robot Bass, hey, I like it. What do you think about Robot Bass?
I think that OBS Ninja is trash, and I forever continue to state that until I grow old here. But it's okay. The programs may not be working with us, but let's hope that the team is, because I think we are ready here with game number 1 of this best of 5, or excuse me, best of 6 here. Again, we can tie in this league, so honestly, a tie here today wouldn't be the worst thing ever, but I think we're still going for that win.
Oh, absolutely. We kind of have to. Barris, can he prove his worth? Already puts it in the bottom left, and there he is already 11 seconds in.
No, it took literally 11 seconds. You weren't even kidding on that one. Fakes out high on Andy, puts that one into the back of the net. Oh, my word. All right, we're right out the gates firing here. Let's go, Major. 1-0 up within the first about 10 seconds.
So incredibly early in Major. They're looking solid. Already getting into the attack. Lucky second flip reset. I hope my internet problems get fixed very soon. As Reganem almost slots that one right in. Mads on the back wall. Gets it through. Mads got beat by Andy, but Lucky still is able to catch it.
Catch it for now, and a back and forth will start to ensue here. We were expecting a little bit of this for the first game, a little bit of tentativeness on both sides, so the fact that out the gates Barris is immediately scoring on that one is rather impressive. So let's see if they can try and keep up with this momentum here, get themselves a second goal. It would be massive for Major if they can just come out the gates firing, find themselves an early win here, and just sort of set the tone on the series. And it's something we've seen them do on repeat before. The question is, can they do it against a capable team in the Razzle Dazzlers? Good save from Andy. He's going to keep this one out for now, and oh boy, this could be an issue because Focus has a shot on target. It's going to go a little bit off, actually, but oh my, Razzle Dazzler is starting to come alive.
They're starting to come alive, but they are still 1 goal behind. Focus can't get through Mads. Andy still in the vicinity. Barris with the pop away. Staying to the hands of Raganem. A good flick off the crossbar, though. And now Focus has to try and finish it off. Also, he gets denied by said crossbar. And Raganem nicely calls off Andy. Lands in the back half. Barris. Big boomer down the other end. Nice power on it. And we'll be able to grab the second go as well. Dives in for this shot. Oh, my word. Almost gets it on target. Mads. And still as third man. Pops it up. Gets the second tap, but it won't be on target.
Oh my word, back and forth so far here. Both teams giving themselves the best chance possible to just try and set the tone here. And I think that's kind of what the goal of these really intricate shots that we're starting to see here. Nothing is standard, nothing too passive here. They're trying to go big here in game number 1 to really put an emphasis on this first win and really show the other team what they are made of. You can see the link-up passes out at midfield for Major. A bit ambitious, but I like that ambition. They're trying to get in their opponent's face, trying to really frazzle them. I'm going to definitely make that mistake a couple of times here with the Razzle Dazzlers having the name that they do. Cool name or not, though, unfortunately, they still are not going to find themselves a goal within the first half of this game. Try as they would like, Hyferia, so far, almost all of their offenses have been thwarted.
Yeah, the Razzle Dazzlers, they've been decent on the defensive end, 1 breakaway. And just to clear everything up, the overlay currently says indeed Razzle is on blue. That's just because Major, they're disobedient, and I told them to join the orange side. They just didn't. But we move on. Andy gets past one, Lucky there to catch it in the center. Focus off the backboard. Mads was threatening a demo. Barris still able to take over. Finds the second tap, almost sending it downwards. Andy 32 boost, and Anna blocking the tank. Lucky, good 50. His teammate tries to follow suit, but Barris gets cleared for free. Mads, that's just a misread completely, and that is a Major who've just been tied up by Razzle.
Oh, that's so unfortunate here. It's kind of inevitable when Mads can't quite read this drop down from the backboard. Reganem is going to be there before you can even blink. And I got to love the Season 1 contender tag because it really just goes to show you this is a player who has experience, who has been around the block. And a player like that, you can't really make mistakes against. They are going to punish every single time. And so far, they're doing exactly that. 1-1 here with only about 100 seconds to go. And the question is now whether or not we're going to see Major really lock down and find themselves this win in this first game. They seemingly have been the team on the majority of attack here, but unfortunately, a lot of these attacks have been rather muted due to the defense of the Razzle Dazzlers. That time, they do not stop the defense or the offense altogether here. And I'm getting flustered because I'm a bit confused. They've allowed a lot of pressure out of Major, and I'm happy about it because it means that we're going to find a solid shot at some point. But I expected the clear to come, but it never did, and Major will capitalize.
And look at with a nice flip reset, and I think the attack for Major is somewhat struggling, or at least trying to find its way, purely because Magma is not here. Magma is really a factor that it gets an entire attack of purely by himself. Let's focus. Puts it forward. Lucky. If they can get another one, that might just secure the game for them. Barris in the defense has to catch that, bring it out to the side. Does indeed do so, but Andy was prepared for it. Reganam into the corner. Focus will wait at the edge of the box. Andy is able to capitalize upon the miss of Reganam. Focus still in the center. Lucky. Little boost on Reganam's tank. Still tries to go for it. And this should be the clear way for Major now.
Ooh, trying to clear it out, though. Mads, again, though, misreads this one in the air. Lucky is luckily enough going to be able to get there for that one. Apologies for the pun. You knew it was going to happen at some point once we return to streams here. But oh my, it's not going to matter if the puns are bad because the players are not. Fantastic save from Boris there, and is going to keep that one out for now. And with 20 seconds left, that's all we got to do. Hold on to this defense, hold on to the back half, and not allow a shot. Another good clear out. We'll find Mads out at midfield, and we'll send this one the other way. And with 10 seconds left, it's now up to Razzle Dazzlers to find one last offense and force an overtime. Awkward position, though. Andy probably didn't mean to read that one off the backboard. As a result, this one's just going to flop out of midfield. Zero boost to the tank, and Barist is going to keep this one up. Oh, that might not have been the best decision because now Reganam has a chance to put this off the backboard. Shot there. Andy drops low. Mads clears this one out, though, and that will secure the game. A little bit of a scare there to end this one, but Major will take the win nonetheless.
Oh my word, that was a scary one indeed. You never really want to keep those balls up at 0 seconds, especially in your first game. But hey, I guess it looks cool or something. I'm not too sure why they do it, but it always is a bit funny. As we almost... yeah, it's funny.
Funny? That's the word you're going to use?
Yeah, if it works out. Of course it's funny if it works out.
I like that. The spirit's high here so far for all of us on this broadcast. I'm loving it so far. However, I don't necessarily think we should rely on funny plays more than anything. We've got to, out the gates, really show what we are made of for the back half of the season here. Again, this really does set the tone for what we're going to be playing like through the rest of this season, because if we can take a win against another top 4 team, it really just kind of goes to show that, hey, anybody in this league can try us, anybody in this league can fail. Because that's the thing. So far, Major, despite having a very strong record so far here, haven't necessarily played the cream of the crop on repeat here. We've had a couple of really solid teams we've played, especially Nordavind, one of them, but we tied against Nordavind, so it's going to be interesting. This is definitely one of the strongest teams we have played in quite some time. If we can take a win against them, it really does set the tone, like I said.
Yeah, it really sets the tone, and with a sub as well, every single time we have to reiterate that, Mads, and we'll reiterate that as well, passes it into a Barist, and then gets taken off the pitch. Or no, actually, it's Mads being demoed. Lucky places it far corner. I'm not too sure how this wasn't blocked, but I guess it's a good goal.
We will take it. Nonetheless, here, it's a goal, and a goal is a goal. Major switching over halves and, well, getting 2 seconds slower on their shot. They scored, what, in 11 seconds last time? This time, 13? How dare they? Too slow.
Yeah, so... You can really see Major start falling apart at this moment when they score 2 seconds later than they initially would. But maybe they kind of try and reconcile with a second goal here. And they get denied. This net is open. Barist tries to boom it to the backboard. Barist has got some boomers in him still. Mads tries to place that on target. Does manage to do so. But it's Reganam with the clear away. Lucky out to the side. Sweeps it away. And Andy with a quick challenge takes out Lucky. Not the ball. Barist up for the play. Reganam. Good clear away.
Oh my word, back and forth and back and forth. And I gotta be appreciative of the fact that we have a team that is so strong we can make jokes about them not scoring quick enough. Most teams struggle to score against solid squads. We struggle to score in time. Uh-oh, but we also apparently struggle a little bit on defense here. Reganan with a beautiful shot. Don't want to take anything away from it, but with 2 defenders around the net, you'd expect to clear. Mad's not quite able to read that one, and all of a sudden, we are all tied up.
Well, Mad's got a bit too frisky with him, then a nice lob over sends the Razzle Dazzlers in a tied scoreline. Boris reaping up close. Focus had a moment of opportunity. Mad's been a bit scared on the defense. Jumps early, thought somebody would be closer. Lucky pinches it straight to the center. Gets it away from one, but Reganem there to collect Andy off the backboard. Lucky jumps as well. Misses still. It is a counter-attack for a Major. Started up. Maz jumping in. Lucky he was in the vicinity and somehow gets the follow-up touch. Andy doesn't get a touch whatsoever, and he makes Raganam scramble for the ball. Barris is able to put it in back into the box. Nobody there to capitalize, though.
Barris doing a really good job so far here of making sure to just kind of hold down this midfield and just keep this offensive presence around here. They're going for a slow burn approach right now. Major are trying to just whittle away at the defensive structure until eventually they find a gap. And oh my, I've been lucky recently, no pun intended here. Caster Curse hasn't really been as much of a thing as a Caster Blessing. Starting to get some predictions right in my favor, and boy did it work out for Major this time.
And they were looking for the gap. Instead, they just got given what a massive, massive mistake for Razzle Dazzlers. You can't be doing that against a team like Major Burris. Went for the flip reset, misses it. I guess that's that boomer mentality coming in there, struggling with the mechanics. And Focus puts that to Andy. Andy tries to pass it back. Focus rips a shot. It was not much of a ripper, and Burris gets a good clear on it. Burris, his strong suit really has been big boomers are sending it down the other end.
Speaking of big boomers, Andy with a very heavy touch to put it on target, but Regnam tries to get in the way to somewhat just kind of redirect. All they really do is slow down the shot overall, and now it's a chance for Major to go the other way. Lucky up with this one, and Mads tried to get the touch afterwards, but no such luck, and oh boy, we might concede because of it, because now Lucky on the back end, scrambling to just try and keep this one out. Focus will take full advantage, slam this one into the backboard, but no follow-up from anyone else on the Razzle Dazzlers, and now this is an issue, because it's 1v3 here, as all of a sudden, everyone from Major goes the other way. You could see this happening. Andy tried their best to delay it, but it was inevitable.
Should have already put up the point. Just have BM.
We'll let you make that decision.
Caster Curse coming in rather quickly as Focus already has an opportunity after I just said that. Luckily for Major, it's not a great shot. I guess we shall just wait this game out, because I feel like as soon as I'm going to start talking trash, that's exactly where we get punished, rightly so. But as of right now, as soon as I said that, man's, oh my word, they just punish.
Okay, first the demo, then afterwards the bump themselves. Mads goes, hey, Lucky, I appreciate you trying some physicality. Don't worry, I got it myself. Dunks the last defender, slams it home, and 4-1 it becomes here. 2 minutes remaining, and I gotta say, Major, they have taken a couple of weeks off, but apparently in that time, they decided to go Super Saiyan. What a fantastic debut performance for the second half of the season.
Here Mads goes once again, double tap found, but sending it up, denying Barris of a good opportunity. Lucky also getting bumped about, getting bullied a bit. I guess that's what you get. Focus got close, and that won't land right in front of the target. Mads out to the side. Reganam good read on where that play was going. He's able to place it on the backboard and almost spikes it down with 0 boost. That's going to be hard. Barris, big boomer once again. Lucky and Mads thus far have been able to capitalize nicely upon them. In that instance, not such luck as Lucky, and comes up to the plane, sends it to the center. Andy wide, and Mats is able to catch it.
Now Barris is going to try and take this one the other way, but not quite able to get a clean enough touch, so it'll instead go back out to midfield once again. And Razzle Dazzlers not giving up so far here, Hyferia. They're still putting in the work. With about a minute left, it is technically possible for a comeback, but I have to imagine they've got their sights set on the next game here, and for a good reason. They lose the next one, Major will have guaranteed themselves at least a tie. And honestly, for a team that's in the top 4 here, a tie is a win in my book. I'd much prefer the win, especially when you've got a 3-0 start. but I think I'd like to at least go for that tie at minimum, and they are 1 game away from doing so. 40 seconds left with a 3-goal deficit. Like I said, it is possible for a comeback out of the Razzle Dazzlers, but in my book, I've had this one written off. This is going to be the 2nd win in a row for Major, and now at this point, it's about just trying to keep the streak alive and trying to stay confident throughout the series.
Honestly, I think for the players over at Major and the management expectation crew, anything less than a sweep is a loss. They need those games to qualify for those top spots. It just, that's the reality of this. Even against Razzle Dazzlers, the only teams that you realistically should be dropping points against are the top 3 teams, which one of them is you, Barris. Let's have a clip real quick. I'll pause my story for you, but I guess it's Andy going down the other. It's a ripper, but it won't matter. And to continue my story, you just need to get every single game in the bag. You can't be dropping games in a silly way.
That's the big thing here, is that making sure to sort of just keep up with the, what's the word here? The image that we have set at this point, and the image is absolute dominance. Major currently up 2-0 against the Razzle Dazzlers, currently up 4-1 overall on their league play here, and it just goes to sort of show you that we really are, like you said, a top 3 team that should only be taking losses to other top 3 teams. And while the team that we are playing right now isn't necessarily a top 3 team, they should still, in my opinion, be giving us a little bit better run for our money right now. Major seems to have them read 2 ways to Sunday here, Hyferia. There's no 2 ways about it. The Razzle Dazzlers, as much as they are getting offensive opportunities, need more attempts if they want to try and take this one. They had 4 shots throughout that game. We had 4 goals in that game. So even if they went 100%, they'd still only tie.
It would only still force an overtime, which that's just not enough. As you say, the Razzle Dazzlers, they need to step up to the plate. They need to play some of the best Rocket League they have played in a long while to try and step up to the plate against Major, who are coming on here phenomenally strong. And getting into game number 3, this could be a match point or tied. Already locked up. Reganam into the corner. Mads follows it up. Reganam 50, still Barris up in the play. I must say, I'm impressed with how Barris is playing.
Barris so far has been fantastic in this game. I gotta be 100% honest. I'm rather impressed how much he has been able to slot into this roster, and they have not missed a beat. Listen, no disrespect to Magma whatsoever, but Magma, you better be prepared, my friend. This man is gunning for your job with the performance he is putting on today, setting up his teammates like that. What a beautiful pass off the top of their car.
Well, let's have another look at this. They're sending it forward heavily. I don't know how it was that much power, but it caught everybody off guard. And Razzle Dazzlers, they dropped the first game to Major once again, or the first goal rather, not the game. Well, it's not over just yet. 30 seconds in. Lucky off the sidewall. We'll try and put that nil in even deeper, which is currently still pretty loose. Focus into Andy. Andy tries to extend to the back, but doesn't have enough boost in the tank to get the second tap. Reganam gets denied by Lucky. Barris now in the center. Focus. Good block by Barris to stop that from going any further.
Back the other way, though, and this is sort of what we've seen many times here, is a lot of good approaches from everyone on the Razzle Dazzlers, but they can't seem to find a solid shot when it counts. You look back towards the other goals that they have scored throughout this one, either it's a good passing play that just kind of catches us by surprise, or it's a little bit of a defensive blunder, and if those are the only 2 ways that you're going to be able to score on us, you're going to have to try and find some sort of alternative. The options right now are rather bleak for the Razzle Dazzlers, as a lot of their offenses are just getting muted before they even have the chance to get loud. So let's see if they can switch it up here. With 3.5 minutes remaining, I'm hoping that we can see a little bit more of a competitive back and forth here, because again, Major really do look on top, and they look on top confidently with saves like that.
It's just continuously, the rotation is in check, their mechanics are in check, their speed is in check, everything just checks out at the side of Major, and it's making it a real tough battle for the Razzle Dazzlers. Well, let's see what they can do in the attack here. It's Lucky actually takes over. Andy jumps early. Focus surely had a better clear on that. And Focus and then jumps in the goal line. And I'm going to facilitate a counter-attack as Major. Also nicely push it out to the side. Reganam still there for the 50. Lucky catching it. He's been really close to those 50s time and time again. Mads this time turns in. Cuts in front of Barris. Mads taking over. Gets it past Reganam. And let's see what Mads can do across the rest of the pitch. It's Focus who actually takes over and pinches it away.
Sends it the other way here, but for how long? It's still in the half of the Razzle Dazzlers here, and we are pressing the issue. A second goal would be massive for Major, because as it stands right now, one little mistake is all it takes for us to get opened up, and oh boy, that could have been that right there, but luckily enough, Lucky will take this one the other way, send it off the backboard, wants the double touch for themselves, but no such luck on getting that shot. Instead, it is once again getting sent the other way, and we had some midfield presence during the first two games, Hyferia, but that is slowly starting to dissipate. Teams are kind of just going for this end-to-end battle, and, well, here's why it might not work out. Major, like we said, one mistake, and we are all tied up.
And that ball just going a bit too far forward, and Lucky, I guess he didn't quite have a read on where the opponent was. Otherwise, I'm sure that it wouldn't have flipped forward and allow a tiny crack for Razzle Dazzlers in the defensive end. Major, and they're still tied. Gets it into the center. Andy had to be a bit quicker because Barris, he's snuck in from the side. Still, Barris pop to Lucky. Lucky doesn't catch it. He just tries to go for the air dribble with zero boost. That's a tough task. Impossible one. I want to call it. Maz has a lot of boost in the tank here. Goes for a ceiling reset. Focus reads it with perfection and shuts it down before it can even turn into something.
Well, speaking of turning into something, though, oh my word, Razzle Dazzler is coming very close to getting in a threatening shot there. Luckily enough, a touch off the backboard will not allow it, and will actually now allow Major to go the other way. But with only about 90 seconds left on the clock here, they have got to be quick with this one. They don't want to let an overtime get here. They would rather take it in regulation, and my oh my, are they getting close to doing so. Lucky with a beautiful shot from up top.
Facilitated by the pinch of Mads as well, who got a lot of power out of absolutely nowhere. Jumps off the wall to pinch the ball that was on the wall. That sounds like a brilliant rhyme now that I say it.
Great rap.
Honestly, I'm not even going to pitch it, but Baris, he's going to try and pitch that he should be an attacker here. There's Focus instead going down the other end. Big Boomer with Lucky slides it away.
Slides it away from now, but once again, this unrelenting pressure we're seeing from both sides has allowed a very offensive game. A couple of saves here and there, 4 saves for each side, but this midfield presence that we've been talking about still has not quite developed. It makes me a little bit nervous for Major, but luckily enough, they are starting to get some defensive practice out at mid there. A little bit of a stop will allow some reprieve here, a chance to get some boost, a chance to reset the offense, and a chance to really seal the deal here in this game. 40 seconds left. If they score another one, that will take it for sure, but I'd also kind of just prefer that they hold on to a solid defense. They do not technically need to score anymore. All Major need to do is hold on, and they will do that for now. Lucky with a beautiful on-the-line save, but can they do it again? They're going to need a second one. This time it's Barist who will keep this one out, and my oh my, 2 close calls for Major, but somehow they survive them both.
Somehow they survived them both, and also going down the other end now to really finish this game off. Mads is just staying close to the play, running nuisance, running interference. Focus, one last attack was what they can set up, but cleared out to the side, and Major, they've at least looked up the tie.
Oh, my word. In a little bit of a scary fashion there, the couple of shots we allowed at the very end of that game got me a little bit nervous, but once again, we're able to hold on, and I'm not going to say that we muted the offense as much of Razzle Dazzlers, but it did kind of feel like the only time they got an offense was on random breakaways where we saw a little bit of vulnerability in our defense. So if we can get that midfield presence to become a little bit stronger, Hyferia, I think we're taking this one in 4.
Yeah, I very much think so as well. Major getting 3 in a row now, shaping up for their 4th. As I said earlier, I think anything else than a 4-0 sweep would be considered a loss here. How big that loss is, it's probably if you lose 1, that's not that massive, but it can all matter at the end. You don't want to have it come down to the end and think, oh, I just wish we would have won 4-0 against Razzle Dazzlers, when it is a possibility. That's the main thing. It's very much a possibility to clear this out in 4. Major tries to do that, or Mads tries to do that, and Barris has another go. This is a decent start for Major.
It's a decent start, but unfortunately no goal to show for it quite yet. A couple of shots and some good offensive pressure, but a goal would be massive to just, like we said, set the tone. That's been a lot of what this series has been, was getting that first goal, really making the other team recognize what type of gameplay that you're going to have to battle against, and then having them try and counter that. And I think that the gameplay that we've seen from Major here is end-to-end ball. They are not afraid to go into their own half and play some defense. They are not afraid to get into offense and really throw all their cards on the table at once. It's just the fact that that they have such a quick pace of play that they can do both of them. Good
Oh.
rotations allow them to cover so much of this field, whether it's from the side walls to a pass out to the center. Major looking in control so far.
Another pass to the backboard. Andy nicely shuts that down. Otherwise, that would have been lethal. Barris was lurking in the center, preying on a mistake. Didn't happen. Andy, that's a mistake for Major, though. Focus has an open net, does find it. And Major, one overcommit is all that it takes for Razzle Dazzlers to go up front.
And this is why we say that, you know, this end-to-end strategy, it's a viable one, but it's a little bit of a dangerous one at times. When you're overexposing yourself by throwing everything at offense, it's pretty easy for a team that's got a solid counterattack to sneak in a goal. And a team like the Razzle Dazzlers are no slouches. We do not want to underestimate them and start giving them free opportunities, because they will absolutely take advantage of them. So far, they have 1-0 here within the first 90 seconds, but can Major find a quick equalizer here? They are back on offense. Reganam going to make a really solid save to just keep this one out and then keep possession here. But it's this slow burn like we had talked about Hyferia. Once Major gets an offense together, boy oh boy do they become threatening.
Well, there we go. Completely opened up. A good demo. And Mads there to finish it off. Lucky. The pass initially seemed a bit odd, but then directly went for the demo, and it's all tied up back once again. Razzle Dazzlers, they're not going to be happy, especially since they just can't quite do that much about those kind of goals. They had one in defense, but Lucky just takes him out. Mads, let's see what they can do now. Mads, good extension, tries to go underneath. It's a decent 50, rings up the crossbar. Focus clears it away.
Oh my word, that got very close, but I would have to agree with you. That's got to be a little bit of a tilting goal for the side of Razzle Dazzlers there, because they've just been subjected to it so many different times here. And again, another instance of that. The bumps on defense that they are enduring right now have got to be rather aggravating, because this is what Major do. They slow break you down. They wait for an opportunity and strike while they've got it. Once again, another shot on target, and I'm loving my caster blessing here today. Most of the time it's a curse. Today, my oh my, I'm just giving Major so many little chances.
You've been really caster blessing a lot lately. I've very much noticed that. I don't know what you're doing differently, but you might have to teach some of us, since we are still all stuck in a curse. Mads is going to try and put Razzle Dazzlers in another curse, and doesn't quite manage to do so, and Andy prevents it.
Oh, another shot, though. Barris not quite able to sneak that one in, but what about Mads on the follow-up? High flying and absolutely drains that one in, and there we go. The Major offense coming to life.
And what else was drained was the boost for Razzle Dazzlers. They had absolutely no even if they wanted to, they couldn't get up to that height. They just didn't have the boost, didn't have the juice to do so, and now Major looking very solid to indeed take this in for a 2-goal lead, and giving this one away at that point, it would just be a massive L. Something you can't be doing. Lucky jumping over the demo to get the block on the follow-up. Andy in the clear away, so actually just passes up to Barris, and Barris, it doesn't matter whether he's a sub-main player or coach or whatever, he will score that any day.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Razzle Dazzlers were doing a good job at taking advantage of the minor mistakes on the back end for Major, but Major also a very capable team. You make a minor mistake on the back end of your half, and all of a sudden they're going to snipe one in, and that's exactly what we see there. 2 goals now to Barris, 2 goals to Mads, and Lucky getting an assist as well. Let's see if they can get a goal. Not quite able to slot that one in, but all of Major has really come to life here in this 4th game. They're starting to pop off on offense and defense both, and this has got to be rather deflating, because this is one of the better games we've seen the Razzle Dazzlers play. The unfortunate truth is, though, shots like this are becoming, okay, I was going to say far too common. That actually is a rather uncommon shot. Barris missing from pretty much point blank, and we haven't really seen him do that before this, Hyferia.
That's an unfortunate one. What I saw with Razzle Dazzlers as well is they got into attack with a phenomenal flick, and yet another one where Reganam, he gets into there, but it's too late. At that point, the lethality is already off the attack. The edge is already gone, and you're just there trying to revive something that's already long gone. Andy might be able to find his way through now. Goes for the bump. Well, what did I say? Once again, too late.
I mean, it's crazy to think, though, that even with an attack that threatening, they're still not able to penetrate our defense here. Major doing such a good job of holding strong in the back end, and I think a lot of this is due to our rotations right now, Hyferia. We are doing such a good job at designating who is going for the ball, who's going to keep that pressure up, and who's just going to play a little bit more reserved and wait for the initial approach. And I think that's really what's making us so effective here, is that every single player is communicating effectively, using this trio of rotations so effectively. And no way, is this in? Okay, almost got own goal by Reganam, but not quite able to. But going back to my point, I think this is what makes Major such a strong team and a threatening one at that. Every player knows how to play every single role and are excellent at those roles at that.
Oh, there Maz goes. What an angle as well. Those always seem incredibly easy. Realistically, they're a lot harder than one might think. Actually had a better angle than I initially expected, but he still put it in. And Major, they will indeed not drop any games here. Where AW3, they've at least dropped the game to Rotarian already. Important point that we're getting here today, and important games that we're getting, who I've pretty much started calling points at this point.
I mean, they are kind of points in a certain degree here. With a season this long, every single thing that you do matters, and it really will be a point at the end of the day here. Goal differential, game differential, and wins all going to be important here and influential throughout the season. And, well, here's one other stat that we can give. One other point we can give here is 4-0. Another win on the board for Major here, and they do it in spectacular fashion. Even with a sub and Boris, they are still able to get themselves a win convincingly. 4-0 over the Razzle Dazzlers.
Going into this game, I had my doubts. I'll be very honest. I thought, okay, I mean, we'll probably still win, but it is a bit more scary. The Razzle Dazzlers, they have been putting on decent performances. This very much just proves that Major, they go back to old ways and just start winning. Razzle Dazzlers, they tried their best, but Major was just too strong here today.
100%. That's the truth of the matter here, is that Major shows they are just too strong of a team at this point. Every single player on this roster is extremely capable, even if we are bringing in our quote-unquote sub in Boris, which is, in my opinion, barely a sub at that, considering how good of a player he is. We're going to be able to take down whoever we want. At this point, we have taken down most of the teams that are top 4 here. We've taken a tie against Nordavind or 0-0 Nation. We've taken a win against the Razzle Dazzlers. We took a win against Rotarian, who a lot of people had in that top 4 spot going into the season. All that is left is AW3, the kings of this league, the absolute gods here so far, who have just one game behind us so far at this point. But that is for another week here. Hyferia, we have survived another one and done so convincingly. Major moves on to now make themselves 5-1-0, excuse me, in Telialigaen.
It's been absolutely amazing up until this point. Let's see whether we can keep it going. I'd say, personally, next week and the week after that, they should be wins. They have to be. And then you have that round 9. The big, bad, scary wolf. Oof. AW3. We're going to have to wait a decent while before that, of course, occurs. But we see that Major, they're able to play in a niche circumstance to the best of their ability. Let's see what they can pop out with next week. But that, unfortunately, will only be next week. The 28th is when we'll be back. Thank you for watching, and we hope you have a good time. See you later.